Hello my friends, how are you doing? It has been a hot minute since I've sat down and talked with you all. I recently moved and I was finishing up summer school for grad school and I got a new job. So those three combined have made it very difficult to have much free time or energy. But we're getting used to things, we're getting the hang of things, finding some extra energy, so here we are. This video was filmed a little while ago. I wasn't able to get it edited and uploaded before I moved, so I wanted to let you know that some of the backgrounds are a little different. They're gonna be a mix between my old home and my new home. Just wanted to clear that up. I am in my sports romance era. I read a variety of sports romances, each with different themes and sports in them. I wanted to try and mix it up and make sure that we weren't just sticking to like hockey only, because I feel like so many sports romances are either hockey or football, which, like, no shame. I love hockey and I love football in romance. Not mad about it in real life either, but like I just prefer it in a romance book, you know, wrapped up with a little bit of smut. In this vlog, I read The Wall of Winnipeg and Me by Mariana Zapata, which is a football romance. This has grumpy sunshine, marriage of convenience, or like a contract marriage situation, forced proximity. She used to work for him and be his assistant. I also read The Cheat Sheet by Sarah Adams. This is a football and dance sport romance. Our main female character, Bree, is a ballerina and a dance teacher, and Nathan is a football player. This is friends to lovers, slow burn, mutual pining. They also have like a fake relationship later on for the media, and that causes some forced proximity moments. I also read Flawless by Elsie Silver. This is a cowboy small town romance. He is a bull rider. They kind of hate each other, so I guess it's kind of enemies to lovers-ish. She's supposed to babysit him basically for a social media blunder that he made, and he just really resents her for it. So it's forced proximity, but then they slowly get to know each other. And last but not least, I read Fangirl Down by Tessa. This is a golf romance. We have Wells, who is hot-headed, has a bit of a temper. He's very grumpy, so it's grumpy sunshine. She also ends up working for him and being his caddy, so there's like workplace romance. So if you're interested in a spoiler-free reading vlog with these books in it, stick around. Hello my friends, and welcome to the staff office at my job, at my library job. I just finished my lunch, so I am gonna talk to you about this book. We are starting off this reading journey, this reading series with The Cheat Sheet by Sarah Adams. Now, it is a little bit of a cheat for me too, because I have read The Cheat Sheet before. I read it in, I want to say 2020 on Kindle. 2021. So back in 2021 I read it. It was when it was still self-published. I am actually going to count this for my dance romance, because even though our main male character is also a football player, and that could technically be a football romance, I'm gonna do dance because I couldn't find as many dance romance options. I am having a great time. I forgot how funny it was. I'm currently on page 25, so we're not that far in, but I'm already having a grand time. Like, I'm really glad that I decided to reread this. I forgot how sassy and like funny this book is. Bree is a dancer and had high hopes of going to Juilliard and being a ballerina on stage, and Nathan is a football player and kind of actually started off slower on the professional football side of things, got a really great break, and ended up exploding and being like this really big known quarterback for a team called the LA Sharks. So they were best friends in high school, separated during college, and are now best friends in LA, where they both work. Right off the bat, I mean, like literally on like the first few pages, you know that both Bree and Nathan are in love with each other, but the other doesn't know. And this is not spoiler, like literally in the first few paragraphs of each of their perspectives, they are like, I'm so helplessly in love with the other, and they have no idea. And so they just have this really sweet dynamic where they just love each other to death, but they're like friend zoned so hardcore. Anyway, I'm gonna do some reading. Okay, I've literally read 1 page since I last talked to you guys. And I have to gush. She has her own room. Apparently she forces him to call it the guest room, but he's like, no, it's her room. How cute is that? And then he says, some people might be tempted to think my full-time job is pro athlete. Wrong. It's forcing myself to behave inside this gray area with Bree, where I'm wild about her on the inside and nothing but a platonic guy friend on the outside. It is a cruel form of torture. It's staring at the sun and not blinking even though it burns like hell. He's such a goner. It's so cute. Good morning, my friends. I literally just got up. I got some reading done in between studying yesterday, and I wanted to give you an update. Last night I actually got a lot of this book read in between studying, because if you watch some of my previous reading vlogs, I do my best studying when I study for like 45 minutes, an hour, and then I'll read a few chapters of a book, and it like really motivates me to continue working, because then I'm like, okay, I can read a little bit more of my book, especially if I'm really enjoying the book, and I'm really enjoying this book. Yesterday we got to the part where, as mentioned in the synopsis, this kind of interview that Bree does while a little bit intoxicated goes viral, and the world is just eating it up. And they get offers from companies to do some kind of commercials together, especially Tide, because there's this like famous line in the book where she's like, I want to erase all of the women in his life like a Tide to Go pen. And so it just sparks all of these requests from Tide and, you know, other companies to do things with them as a couple. You know, they have to fake date because they're not actually a couple. And both of them are very hopeful but terrified, because they're like, maybe this is my opportunity to test the waters and see if it could work and if they could reciprocate. Nathan's like full force trying. He and the bros got out the whiteboard. They were like planning and everything, and Bree's like, maybe it's okay if I like lean into it a little bit. But the whiteboard scene reminded me so much of the Bromance Book Club. I don't know if you've read that story. If you enjoy this, you might enjoy the Bromance Book Club, but it's where a group of men come together and they read romance novels and like learn things from the romance novels to do in their real life. So it felt like that in that moment. It was really cute. I'm so enjoying it. I'm very lightly annotating it, but there are just like, the reason there aren't as many annotations is because they're like whole freaking pages that I'm loving, and I'm like, how do I just, the whole thing would be marked if I annotated those pages. So I think I'm gonna have to go back and like tab those pages that just, you know. We just had a scene with some of Bree's dancers that was really funny and really cute. And I'm living right now. This book is everything I remembered and more, and I'm just having the greatest time. Hello, my friends. We are doing an update, even though I look like this, even though I'm literally in a car wash vacuum section, because I just started Reckless today. Reckless, right? Let me double check. I started Flawless today on my drive home and during work when the boys were napping, and I'm about to listen to it again on my way home for another hour. Y'all, I'm already halfway through this book, and I told myself I was gonna start doing more updates as I read these books, and I am doing a terrible job. I am having an excellent time. If you can't already tell that I started this book today and I'm already halfway through and the day's not even done yet. This book is excellent. So this is the first book in the Chestnut Spring series, and I chose this for a sports romance as the kind of horse equine related sport. I've been wanting to read this for a while, and so I've been waiting for this series to start it off. I'm having such a good time. If you couldn't tell, I literally started this morning and I'm already halfway through. Like, honestly, I could finish this today if I have time. I am loving Rhett in summer. Rhett is honestly such youngest child energy. He's kind of a little bit of golden retriever energy, but like with a little bit more like grump and grizzle to him, which I'm really enjoying. I'm really enjoying all of the bull riding side of things. It really goes into detail while not being overbearing. Like, it explained the point system and, you know, some of the struggles he goes through and some of the things that he has to do with his body in order to be prepared for that. And so I've really been enjoying the finer details with that, but it's not overbearing. I feel like I'm learning something from it and it's not being like shoved down my throat. I'm also really enjoying the romance. They have gotten over that initial animosity and have been kind of growing closer and have had a few more vulnerable moments, which have been really sweet. There was a one bed moment which hit real hard. It wasn't like the catalyst though, so don't expect for it to be like a one bed catalyst moment for the romance. No, it was just like a little step in the stepping stones of their relationship. He's kind of becoming really protective of her, and I don't think he's realized it yet. I don't think he's had that aha moment yet, so I'm waiting for that. I'm like so ready for that. And she's kind of trying to create distance because she's like, this is our job, like we need to succeed. So we're gonna see how it goes. Anyway, I'm gonna head home and continue listening to this. We'll see how much I get done tonight.
Never really know what's going on. Look at me sometimes.
He's getting so jealous.
All you want to do is run. Hear me out, hear me out. It's all the things you never show. There are the things I want to know.
Hey friends, it's packing day. I've already done an update for that vlog, so look forward to that one in the near future. I'm just doing a mundane task and I wanted to start listening to my audiobook, but I realized I literally started and got halfway through The Wall of Winnipeg and Me last night. I am eating it up. I am having the best time. I was a little bit nervous to start this book because I feel like opinions are very divided. Like, people who love it absolutely love it and rave about it, and then there are people who really don't like it. And I feel like there's not as much in between. Sorry, I'm currently winding a skein of yarn and she's giving me a little bit of resistance. I made this yarn. I spun it with my spinning wheel because I'm an old lady and I like it. It makes me happy. Anyway, I digress. So I started it last night and I wanted to continue it, but then I was like, oh my gosh, I'm literally halfway. I need to update the vlog. So I'm having the best time. It really is slow burn, and I think that knowing that ahead of time, like expecting how slow burn it is, has really helped with my expectations. Because, you know, if I went in knowing this was like a sports romance, I kind of would have expected smut or like at least a kiss halfway. We ain't there yet. We have not gotten there yet, but that's okay. That's okay. I'm still really enjoying it. Like, it really reads similarly to the Spanish Love Deception. We get our main female character Vanessa's point of view only. We really get to go through her entire thought process in each scene. And I'm really enjoying it. She's really spunky. She has a lot of fire in her, and I really like that. But she's also very, like, you know, mostly respectful when she needs to be. I also really like the depiction of, like, showing when she's really angry, but her process of, like, trying to calm down and be, like, respectful and calm in her responses and not, like, explode. I really like that, but then also we kind of get the opportunity later on, when she is no longer his assistant, to kind of, like, really rip into him, and I love that. So I'm having a really good time, but it's really interesting. So, like, this is a sports romance vlog, and like he's a football player, right? So we get to hear about him being really built. We've seen him training. We've seen him like kind of, or heard about him recovering from an injury. But we haven't seen anything football related yet. Like, is it actually a sports romance, or is it just a romance with a person whose job is sports? Do we get to see it and experience it, or do we just get to give him a profession, you know, that we don't really learn much about? That'll be interesting to see how that continues for the rest of the vlog. But I'm having such a good time. And what makes me like this even more, I've listened and read physically so far, and the audiobook narrator is the same narrator for the Wings of Fire book series. Which, if you're new to my channel, I'm obsessed with the Wings of Fire books. There's a few that I don't love, but out of 10, I liked 7 of them a lot. Just, it's so cool to hear her voice in a very different genre and a very different age range. I just think that's so cool, and so like I think that helped. I'm gonna listen to more of it while I continue packing. It is a mess in here, and we're making progress. Thanks for joining me for this this update. Once again, I'm coming at you from my car. My partner Cooper and I, we met halfway. We only have 2 more weeks of being a long distance, so that's so exciting. But we needed like a quick meetup to get us through the next 2 weeks of like moving and everything. And I start school again tomorrow, so we just needed to touch base one more time before the chaos begins. But I just want to hop on here because on my way here and earlier this morning when I was getting ready, I started Fangirl Down by Tessa. I am loving it so far. I knew that I was gonna enjoy it, but I am just like having the best time listening to it, and I'm really enjoying more of the golf scenes. So I've noticed recently while doing this series that some books claim to be sports romances, but really it's just one of the characters' profession. We don't actually really see much of the sport in the book. But with this book, with Fangirl Down, let's get those rays out of the way, even though they're kind of pretty. But with this book, with Fangirl Down, we have already seen several aspects of the sport of golf in the book. And then she actually works at a golf shop or a golf store. I forget exactly what it's called, but her family owns it. So she works there, and so she knows a lot of golf technicalities too. And then they've had a little golf discussions, and he decided to join the tour again. And then, you know, we've had this like gathering for the caddies and the golfers and stuff like that. So we've already seen quite a few aspects of golf in this story, and I'm really enjoying that. Golf isn't like my favorite sport or anything, but as I've gotten older, I find myself not minding that it's on in the background, you know, while I'm doing things, or, you know, I'll recognize a name or two. So I'm really enjoying this book. It's really fun so far. I really like Josephine, or Joey. She is just so sweet, and so far she has a really good blend of like being confident and standing up for herself, but having like insecurities that make sense based on what we've learned about her so far. I think Wells is gonna be another like Cade from Heartless situation, where he's just like a really big grump, has a chip on his shoulder, but he's just like a really big softie, just waiting for like his girl. So I'm eating it up. I'm having a really good time, and I just wanted to touch base because I'm really bad about doing that. That's the update, and I can't wait to tell you more about it. Hey friends, let's do an update on this book. So I'm currently on page 207, chapter 22. I am loving this. Oddly enough, I recently read Heartless by Elsie Silver, the second book in the Chestnut Springs series, and I'm kind of getting Cade vibes a little bit. Just, he's very grumpy, and like he has a good heart and soul, but can come off really gruff and grumpy until he has something that he just loves so much and is so loyal to. And that for me is Wells. Wells is just kind of waiting for someone to stick around, to really actually believe in him. And now that he realizes that Josephine is that person, he is like, he's so falling for her, which I know is gonna happen. Like, we always know that these things happen in romance novels. We know. But it still makes me squeal and giggle, and I'm having the best time reading it. Josephine is diabetic, and that's very much a part of who she is, and she is not ashamed of that. She's like, this is who I am, this is part of who made me me, and that's a very big part of this book. But he's very protective of her. Wells has kind of a rough upbringing, and that has made him a really gruff, protective, hot-tempered person. He's very protective of himself as well, and he's kind of learned that he would rather run or, you know, destroy something himself than have something destroy him, or something that he loves. And that's kind of become a negative trait for him that I think Josephine brings to his attention. I like Josephine a lot. I'm really enjoying the golf side of things. It's really interesting seeing some of the more nuanced things about golf. My dad really likes to golf. He actually used to be a golf coach once upon a time. Also, my boyfriend's sister's husband is a golf professional. So, long story short, I've learned more about golf recently. And so it's really fun, like, picking up some of those more nuanced things, and I'm really impressed with Tessa Bailey for doing that research and putting those into this story. So far, the story is like making me want to be in my like golf girly era. Josephine, she makes me want to be a golf girly. I'm on my lunch break at work. I just had lunch. It was delicious. But I have been freezing all day, so I just need to like sit outside and thaw. And so I brought my book with me. I am almost done. I'm on page 340. We have like 20 pages left to go. I am obsessed. I have had the best time reading it. I could have easily consumed this in a day, but I'm so glad I did it because I had something to look forward to. And I've been so nervous to read it too because I love it so much that I'm worried something's gonna happen to make me not love it anymore. But each time I pick it up, I just fall in love with it again. I just love Josephine so much, the main character. I just really freaking like her a lot. And Wells has gone through a lot of character development. Like, he is not the nicest person at the beginning of this book, but something in him just clicks into place when he's with Josephine, and she finally, like, she gives him the space to be who he is while also challenging him to be a better person, and he wants to be a better person for her. And I love that so much. Of the 4 sports romances I've read in this series so far, this is definitely the most sporty. It has the most about the sport that it's about in the book, and I'm really enjoying that. I really like that because, you know, I grew up doing sports, mostly just in high school, but, you know, it was a big part of my life and my social life and staying active when I was younger. So it's really kind of bringing out that nostalgic part of me. I'm so excited to finish this book, and I don't know, man, I'm gonna call it now that I think this is gonna be one of my top favorite books of the year. How old are you? 17. I'm 28. Bye.
Hey, you're pretty.
Also, I'm 29. I don't know why I said 28. Okay, my friends, it is time for a wrap up and final thoughts. First, I read the cheat sheet, and this was a reread for me. Actually, I ended up loving it more the second time than the first time. I started kind of annotating it because I was like, oh my gosh, there's so many sweet and cute moments. I just love Bree and Nathan, and I love Bree and Nathan together. Like, I love them apart and I love them together, and I I just eat it up whenever I love characters apart and together, and it just really elevates my reading experience when that's the case, and that was the case for the cheat sheet. So I ended up giving this a 5-star. I thought it did a really good job of representing both football and ballet or dance. We got to see both sides of things, but I think we get to see more about Bree's dance than anything, which I really appreciate. I used to be a dancer. I danced for 9 years when I was younger. The next book I read was Flawless, and y'all, I didn't do very many updates for this because I zoomed through this in a day. You got the midway checkpoint, and then I was like, I need to finish this now. This was so good. I really loved the progression of their relationship, starting out from being on the wrong foot, having that forced proximity. He dislikes her because he feels like he's being babysitted. He resents her, and she's just kind of like annoyed with that. That's just like how it has to be. But then they slowly get to know each other. They kind of grow to respect each other, become friends, and then more. And those spicy scenes, y'all, girl. But one thing I absolutely ate up about this book is the dialogue. One thing that really can be hit or miss for me in a book is the dialogue. Sometimes people in books just say things that literally no one would say. And I'm like, who talks like that? But not this book. This book was like, yes, what you're saying makes sense. Yes. And I just tore through it. It was so good. It was so good. I give this a 4.75 star. The Wall of Winnipeg and Me by Mariana Zapata, I put off so long because everyone said how slow-paced it was. And I'm not a slow-paced girly. I'm not a slow-paced book girly. Slow-paced running, you got it. Slow-paced books, no. However, I felt like we got enough breadcrumbs throughout this book to just continue to be well fed. Like, yeah, it was slow paced. Not too many things happened, but enough was said or done that it changed the characters' perspective of each other, and it changed your perspective of the characters. And not just, it fed me. I was well fed this entire book. The Grumpy Sunshine, I ate it up. And I loved how we really got to know Vanessa. Like, I felt like this was kind of a character study on Vanessa and her thoughts, why she made the choices that she made. I loved her standing up for herself and being like, you know what, that's enough, and I'm not gonna take your bullshit anymore. And we kind of see behind the scenes of his nature too, and grow to understand. Anyway, I just felt like I understood these characters so well by the end of this book. I loved the journey that they went on. I loved every single thing, except I had one problem with the final like smexy scene. Wasn't a fan, and I almost brought that down to a 4.75 star only because of that scene, but I was like, you know what, no, I loved literally every single thing other than those 5 pages. So this is a 5-star read for me. Last but not least, we have Fangirl Down by Tessa Bailey. This was a wild ride, and yes, you kind of had to suspend your disbelief a little bit, but I loved it. I know this is hit or miss for some people. I know some people hate Wells. And you know what? If Wells was like a real dude in my life, I would probably hate him too. But he isn't. I just think Wells and Josephine were like literally perfect together. I loved Josephine so much. She's so positive, and like, yes, she has down moments, and yes, she's realistic about things, but I just really appreciated her tenacity and her determination to do things. And I really appreciated when she called Wells out and was like, again, the similarities, like calling him out on his bullshit. Like, no, Wells, that's not okay. It sounded like Wells needed someone like that in his life. Everyone just let him get what he wanted to get all the time, and no one put their foot down, but Josephine did. And then Wells, just his growth and like journey and like proving that he could be a good person for her and without her. I just loved it. I just loved it. And who doesn't love like a comeback novel? Wells is struggling with his golf game, but really has like this transformation with the help of Josephine, and really Josephine just like boosts him up, cheers him on, and I think he really needed that in his life. and he kind of figures out how to do it for his own self, which I really appreciate. So I just really enjoyed this. I had the best time reading this. This is a 5-star for me too. So yeah, I think we're seeing a trend. Maybe I just got really lucky, or maybe I'm just like a sucker for sports romances. We have a 5-star, a 4.75 star, a 5-star, and a 5-star read. This was such a successful vlog. I think I need to read more sports romances now. Alright my friends, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider giving it a thumbs up, sharing it with a friend who also needs to read these sports romances, and hitting that subscribe button. We have some videos that we're filming today and planning, so hopefully there will be more consistent content in the future. Thank you for your patience, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye everyone!